my lovelies, and welcome to my bedroom. Today, I'm going to talk about this. So this is my latest dream catcher. I call it my cloudy night sky, and it was a huge project. I'd not really done anything quite this, or I've not really challenged myself to do any dream catchers quite this size up until now. So this was quite a project for me. And it all started when I pulled a bit too tight on some embroidery thread and destroyed an orange dream catcher that I'd been previously working on. So obviously I was, in my studio doing my thing, working on my orange dream catcher, and then the whole thing just kind of imploded a little bit. So instead of getting stressed about that, I decided to start again. And I wanted to start on a new project. Scrap the little orange dream catcher project. Let's do something new, something that inspires me. I'm really not a huge fan of orange and reds. I think they're too angry. I'm not a fire person. I'm a water person. I'm a water baby. Reds and orange are fire colours, and I don't know if you know this, but the Fire Nation and the Water Tribe just don't get along. It's a shame, really. Yeah, it's a shame. Sorry, this is not tea. Usually it would be tea, but today I've got a smoothie of sorts instead. I was going to say because I'm trying to be healthier, but tea isn't really unhealthy and I'm still drinking tea. I've just swapped from one kind of milk to another. So anyway, dream catch. So I started off by working on each individual dreamer. So this is made up of 5 individual dream catchers. I decided to start off with the biggest because making the dream catchers themselves can become quite tedious, especially if you're doing a big project. I have this dream catcher in my living room that is about 1.5 meters in diameter, and I spent days on it, and I was just sitting in the middle of this huge circular frame going a little bit insane trying to make sure that everything stayed even. It was the first dream catcher I worked on as well, probably a little bit ambitious for me to be all like, I'm going to make something, let's make it 3 times the size of an average one. But as we know, I am a crazy person and I like to bite off chunks way bigger than I can chew on a regular basis. Case in point being these trousers. But I love them, and I think there's been like 3 days, not counting being at work, where I've not worn these trousers since I made them because they are so comfy. This isn't even my trouser video, and I'm still talking about the trousers. I love them. This is a dreamcatcher video, and I will talk about the dreamcatcher. Anyway, so I had 5 of these dream catchers that I needed to make. So I decided to start with the biggest one, this one here, and then work my way down to the smallest. Each one, took time. I wanted to make them all different, but still very much connected to each other. I chose a selection of embroidery threads from the get-go. I think I had 3 sets of a navy to light blue ombre, and that way was it 3 or was it 2? 2 sets, because these 2 are the same colour palette, and it was 3 sets. These 2 are the same colour palette, and these 2 are the same colour palette, but this big one actually has 2 of the ombre sets in it, and this has 1. So I did this one first, then this one with the gold in the centre, and I actually think this one came out better than this one, and then I worked through my little ones. This, I wanted to have a star in the middle to mirror the star beads that I've put throughout the dreamcatcher, and I actually think that each one in its own way is lovely. I'm quite pleased with how they came out. Obviously, if I wasn't pleased with how they came out, then I'd start it again, probably. I did find it a bit challenging to, seamlessly attach different colours of threads as I worked in, but my technique is getting better each time I do it, and I don't think that it's noticeable. unless you're me, who will look at a project and be all, yep, I can see every single one of my flaws ever, and now I hate it. But that's every project I do. So best I can hope for is that the flaws are minimal and the quality is sound and I don't hate it. So after I had all 5 of these dream catchers made, I went to attach them together, and I actually did a poll online to see what arrangement you guys thought was the most aesthetically pleasing. So if you remember, I did a poll on my Facebook story, my Instagram stories, about laying these out in different ways. And yeah, so I was kind of waiting for the results to come in for that. And then I did that other thing I do where if I'm not working on a project right now at this very moment, I kind of don't want to go back to it. I don't know. Anyway, I did a poll, I had 4 different options, and this was the winner, which I'm sure is coming up over my head now. I'm going to start by laying out with the dream catchers on the floor how I want them to be laid out, which is what you guys were voting on. So that seems good. Now it is the time for me to go fetch all the things that I forgot to get while I was setting up to film. So I'm going to start with the 2 largest ones. I think that's just sensible. They are the ones that need to really be in line with each other. I use the same gold thread that I used around the edges. I absolutely love this gold thread and I am running out of it. Gold is a colour that is difficult to come by. It's not that you can't find gold, it's finding gold that is the right quality that I have issues with. I always want my gold to be metallic but not plasticky. I want the colour to be nice but not too yellow and not too brown. And it's just, gold's just awkward. I recently bought gold thread for like my sewing machine and I was actually very pleased with the thread that came. I bought 3 bobbins full because I found one that I did think I'd like, so I bought 3. But I also have other gold thread in my sewing kit that's just so plasticky that I don't ever want to use it, ever. I think price affects things, but also it's design. It's everyone wants something slightly different from what they're doing, so there's a fair bit of variety. Anyway, I use the same gold thread to bind each of the hoops together so they'd be nice and sturdy, and then I went on to do the tails. Before I did the tails, I did think about wrapping the hoops with wool, or the same wools that I used in the tails, but I found But I think that actually sometimes, not all the time, sometimes it's nice to have the raw wood showing. I do like how it looks. It's nice having that natural feel, that back to nature, earthy, these things are made of something that's more worldly perhaps than just something that's plastic. If I was using plastic frames, I'd feel the need to hide them under wool every single time, but I don't. I don't like using plastic. I want to use wood. I want to use wood all the time, and glass and natural fibre yarn. I want to use actual real wool and not a huge fan of microplastics, and I want to be avoiding them as much as possible. Sorry, a little environmental rant creeping up in my brain, which I need to stop doing. Excuse me. It's becoming a problem, I think. So I decided to leave the frames bare, naked if you will, and just focus on the tails. Here we are. Day whatever it is. We have Moss next door playing video games with headphones in, so we're just going to hope that he can't hear anything I'm saying. And we are going to finish this. So we have a third angle because I'm probably going to end up working on the floor here. But yeah, let's get started. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably start by moving this back, lean this here, have a sip of tea, and have a look at wool colours. Also, I'll probably need my scissors. I'm also thinking of probably putting some gold into this. I've already used a fair bit of gold within the rest of this, and although usually I cover the wooden frames with wool, I think in this case I'm going to leave it with the natural wood because I do enjoy how the wood looks. My real question here is, am I going to continue to use these purples or am I going to leave them out? So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to pull out a couple of strands of what I think would be a good collection and then hold it up against the Dreamcatcher to get a feel. So I'm going to work out what kind of length I want these as well while I'm doing this, because then when I've worked out what collection of colours I'm doing, I can edit it. But I'm definitely going to use a lot of this dark blue also. To begin with, I'm going to cut a template length out of that and then just start building up everything else. I'm thinking a singular strand of the gold here because as much as I like it, I don't want to overdo it. So, let's talk a little bit louder. Let's enunciate a little bit better. And let's stop being self-conscious about whether or not Moss thinks you're being a weirdo. So, this is kind of what I have in mind. This is what the dream catchers look like, and this is the tails. Beautiful, I know. So, assuming this camera can see what's on this page, I'm thinking of having all my tails coming down and then having it gradient, but not so much as a central gradient or one to the other side, but I want to have lots of stripes of it fading in and out of colours because it's quite wide. It's wider than my normal dream catchers. And I'm going to have my star beads again. I missed all of these tails. I might add some other beads as well. I don't know yet. But what I need to write down is what my stripes are going to be, because they're going to be light mid-tone dark. Right, so this is going to take longer than I expected. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to work out how exactly I want the pattern of the stripes to sit with the different colours that I've got available. Drink some tea. Flapjack Tower. Bless you. Can you turn that camera back on? You see the little red button in the corner?
Mm-hmm.
Can you just hold that down until it starts recording? No, not on the top.
You?
Thank you.
You Percy.
Not that I know of.
Oh, she is.
Oh, my knees are getting sore, so I'm gonna sit up a bit. Stretch out my legs. Quality of life instantly improved. So, what I have done here is what may look like a hodgepodge to you, I assure you, is not a hodgepodge to me. Right, I'm going to count how many bits of wool there are here, and then replicate twice. And then start attaching this to that. Oh, and I forgot about the gold. Right, I'm going to do something different with the gold. Know what I'm going to do with the gold. Oh, that's so pretty. And actually the tails were, I knew I'd need a lot more than I usually do, because usually it's just this much space, and this is, what, 2-3 times what it usually would be. So I took my threads and I cut them a lot, and I got about halfway through and I realised I didn't have enough of the purple, but I wanted to have a bit of an ombre. With the tails having such a large amount of space to come over to cover, I felt that I could do some real ombre stripes. And I don't know if you can see from there, but it goes from like the blues to the purples to the blues to the purples to the blues again. And I quite like that. I quite like it. It gives it a bit of extra texture. It usually takes me about half a day to just cut all the tails, because I need to have all the different wools and then cut them to the right lengths, make sure they don't get tangled, and then reorganize them and sort out what order I want them to be in their little bundles. And then each bundle has to get tied onto the dream catcher. So I tied all those bundles on, and then my last step, oh wait, no, I forgot. So I have all my tails, but then amongst the wool I actually put more of this gold thread. Whilst I was doing these bits, I found that I had a lot of little offcuts that I was, obviously when I weave my dream catchers, I have to cut a length of thread, and then weave it through and then cut off how much I don't use, the excess. So I wanted to use up some of those excess bits of gold thread, so I put some of those through the tails as well, just to give it a little bit of sparkle alongside the wool tails. And I've not done this before, but I think it actually, I think it actually does look very pretty. So after doing my wool tails, I then went on to put in my stars. So that was my last step, was to put the stars into the tails. And to do this, I take 1 or 2 bits of wool from each individual tail, pull them to the front, thread the stars on, tie a knot underneath, and then put them back. But because I've pulled them to the front, when they hang back down, they sit at the front. And I think they look very pretty, and it reminds me of a starry night sky with all the random gold beads up amongst the blue. And I'm just quite happy with how it came out. I think this bit, because it's so wide and short, it looks a bit like a hula skirt. I don't know if anyone else sees that, but that's what I'm seeing here. I think as a whole it actually works really well, and because of the colours I decided that this one, unlike the rest of my dream catchers which are hanging in my studio, was going to hang in the bedroom, because we don't have any art in this room. This is it's the most minimalist room in the house. Moss decorated this room and left it all blue and white, and it's lovely and very fresh and clean, and it feels like a boy's bedroom, and there's no art on the walls. And I did talk to him about painting some gold celestial details on the wall in here, because you know me, I can't resist a mural, and wasn't a huge fan of the idea. So we've left it all white, and I'm sure that at some point there will be more art. As always, I must remind you to please like and subscribe if you've not already. Remember, I have other social medias, and if you follow those, you will see updated posts that come out a lot more regularly than my videos, and you will see things before they are posted here. So yes, just to cover all that, Dreamcatcher made, bit of a experience. I have a blue bedroom and follow my social media. Rock on, my lovelies, and stay safe. Have a great day.
Wow. Wow.
Now I need to get off the bed without knocking over the camera, turn the camera off, turn the camera back on, get back on the bed without knocking over the camera, and then film another video.